Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans alike, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski, Sports Dach Chicago. One of the couple, two, three best podcasts around. So sit back, grab yourself a cold one and a Polish sausage, park your keister in the French room, and listen to Bill Swerski, Sports Dach Chicago.
In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we've got huge White Sox injury news. We've got complications to the Bears quarterback situation. We've got regular season baseball almost upon us. And we've got crazy Bulls and Blackhawks news. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. This is a great product. Sure, you can't be in person at the stadium, but this shouldn't stop you from heading on over to icehogs.com, getting yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, sign up for season tickets when you can go back to the stadium, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Oh boy, Alex. This has been a pretty crazy week here in Chicago sports.
Yeah, no kidding. And there's a certain team that really surprised not only its fans, but fans around the sport in a good way, in a very good way, in a very unexpected way. And I think that there's a lot to be said about how quickly you could potentially turn around an entire culture going forward. You pretty much know where I'm going with this.
Yes. So the Chicago Bulls, we knew things were changing when they finally got rid of Garpax and we brought in AK and he hired Mark Eversley as the general manager. And we had a new regime. They brought in an actual head coach instead of an incompetent boob. And so we've got Billy Donovan. And, you know, this season has been a lot of ups and downs. We've seen a huge step forward for like Zach LaVine. We've seen some progress from some people, but this team needed a jump start. And I was absolutely shocked. I thought this would be a pretty lame trade deadline because so many people are in the running for making the playoffs because of the play-in games. Mm-hmm. And that was not the case that we saw.
No, and just looking at where I was in terms of opinion about the Bulls going to the trade deadline, I had honestly held the opinion that they should just kind of stand pat and go the rest of the way. I didn't see the point in buying. I will fully admit that. But what Arturas Karnisovas did was not buy in the sense of overpaying for one guy. Like, you remember the Bradley Beal rumors, right? You remember those were flying around a bit. Those were the kind of moves that I was thinking about with buying, and I didn't want to see that. But I saw a switch being flipped. I saw a bulldozer coming through. I saw a statement being made. And the trade with the Orlando Magic getting Nikolai Vucevic was more than just a buy. It was more than just a purchase. It was the first big step in taking a big step. I mean, hiring AK was one. Bringing in Mark Eversley as GM was two. Bringing in Billy Donovan was three. But the fact of the matter was, you still had the Garpax roster. And I think Garpax saw enough. He's like, you know what? No more of this. Let's flip the switch. Let's flip the roster. Let's get in some legitimate established talent to Chicago. Not only are we getting established talent, we're getting established talent that gives the team more of an identity, a better winning culture, and as AK said, and as we have wanted, making this team more attractive for free agents in the future. You don't want to come to a team that has a losing culture with no identity like they've had for so long. And really, in order to move forward, they needed to make something happen. Again, and this is coming from someone that thought they should just stand pat. But when you make a move like this, you realize what AK is doing and you realize the importance of it. And frankly, Sean, I think we robbed Orlando blind. If you look at the terms of everything, I think we robbed them. I really do.
I mean, just to summarize, there was 2 deals that were done. And well, I guess one deal and then a 3-way trade. But ultimately, what the Bulls gave up was Luke Cornett, Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter Jr., Daniel Gafford, their first-round pick in the next draft, but is top 4 protected. So if they hit top 4 in the lottery, they don't give up that pick. And their first-rounder in 2023, which is top 4 protected. So that's what they're giving up, and they get in return Nikola Vucevic, Al-Farouq Aminu, Daniel Tice, Troy Brown Jr., Javonte Green, and $1.5 million cash.
Yeah, and you look at the Vucevic trade, I think not only were we happy that we got an all-star center, is that we got that Otto Porter Jr. contract off the books. Again, Otto Porter Jr. was a nice player, but he was making a ridiculous amount of money. And the fact that they were able to get rid of that, I think that trade was fully worth it. Could you imagine if the Bulls somehow got like a top 4 pick and they were able to keep that pick on top of having Nikola Vucevic and that Otto Porter Jr. contract off the books?
That's the crazy part is that, the 2023 pick, based on the way things are going, that's almost impossible that's a top 4 pick. But the 2021 pick, if you don't make the playoffs, your odds, there's a chance that it is a top 4 pick just on the lottery.
It's not a great chance, but there is a chance.
Right. So that was huge to get that in there. And, some of these pieces you can see what he's doing. You added in Aminu and Tice are some nice, more defensive pieces. You gave up Gafford. Gafford is the only one in that equation that I was like, you know what? Sucks to see him go because I think he's got some upside, but he's not a star by any means. But he's I think he's going to be a nice role player. And his first game out, he did well. So I root for Gafford, but it's a small price to pay for the haul that you brought in. Brown was a top 15 pick in 2018. So he's a guy that is like a prime change of scenery guy where you're like, okay, maybe a new system can unlock the potential because he was a top 15 pick just a couple of years ago. So he's still young.
I know a Wizards fan who was pretty upset about giving up on him. They said, watching him based on his skill set, based on the potential he could possibly bring, that could be a really big get for Chicago moving forward. So you have a very nice potential piece coming to you in addition to these established players. That's really nice to have.
And Vucevic, he's a guy that this is his slash line for this year. 24.5 points a game, 11.8 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 1 steal. One block. One block.
What does it tell you when Zach LaVine shouts in excitement about the news?
And the guy shoots over 40% from the 3. You're missing a point guard. And I think a lot of people were expecting if the Bulls made any move, it was going to be a trade for Lonzo Ball. Mm-hmm. But the rumors that I'm hearing is that there was potentially an offer for Lauri Markkanen for Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
And they wanted a first rounder as well, which number one, they don't have any more. They traded them all in the Vucevic trade, but they were like, no, because he's a guy that's going to be a restricted free agent anyway. They're like, well, why? We're not going to win the title anyway this year. Why not give up all those things and then just sign him as a free agent?
Right. I mean, you have an opportunity to just potentially give up money to get him instead of assets in the offseason.
Right.
And if they could do that, then things are looking pretty good.
Yeah. And here's the thing is, sure, you don't have the point guard that you want. And AK basically said, he's like, we're not done building. He's like, there's still things to go. We're just taking the steps towards where we want to be. But, with Vucevic, you have a guy who can just line up that you got to guard on the outside because he shoots over 40% from the three. So, the big men can't clog up the lane. They've got to come out and guard him, which leaves the basket wide open for a Kobe White or a Zach LaVine to take it to the rim and score. And if they collapse down on those guys, he's going to punish them by shooting a three ball. And, looks like you're keeping Markkanen for now is, that's going to help him as well because he's going to be able to do the same thing. You're going to create a lot of space. And Vucevic is a terrific floor spacer and a passer as a big man. So it's going to open up the offense a lot more. I think it's a great move, and we saw terrible results in the first game, but none of those guys. You basically turned over half of your team, essentially half of your team. You just and churned them over and brought in new players. So you have no timing with these guys. You haven't worked together. Those guys don't know Billy Donovan's system. 2 days after they're traded, they're playing a game, and it was a terrible opponent to play against. It's San Antonio Spurs, who aren't the best of teams, but that is a well-coached team, and you're running against a system that took advantage of things. But give it 5-10 games, and I think you're going to see a completely different Bulls team.
Yeah, they're going to need time to kind of build chemistry and mesh together. And I think it's fair to say that even myself and a number of other Bulls fans last night kind of built unrealistic expectations for the game after all these moves. And we saw some nice things from Vucevic last night, but, it's going to take some time to get acclimated. They didn't practice, like you said. You just had your shoot around on the court. So it's going to be a work in progress, and it's going to, there might be some growing pains here or there over the next few games. But I feel like when you have established talent like Vucevic on your team, you can adjust fairly quickly. And that's the really exciting thing is we're actually getting a guy we know what we have in him. And we're saying goodbye to Otto Porter Jr. I have nothing personal against him. I wish him the best, but I was done with him as a Bull. I really was. I just wasn't seeing anything. When you have a guy who has admitted in the past to getting flustered when certain things happen, you can't have that. You just can't have that. AK realized that, and they were able to make this deal. So, again, I wish Otto Porter, Wendell Carter Jr. the best, but I'm not going to miss him as a Bull.
The problem with Otto Porter was just who he was. He was, fat, out of shape guy that, sure, he's a decent player, but for what he made,
it was a lot of money.
And he didn't bring anything to this team, really. And Wendell Carter Jr. is a guy that, I don't know, I feel like he's played enough games, and we should have seen improvement from him, and we just never saw it. And it's a bummer because I was high on him when they drafted him, and they just really never saw the improvement. So I think that was a small price to pay for this trade. And then you get rid of Cornette too. So I think this roster, you're going to see more floor spacing. You're going to see, the ability to score better, and you're definitely going to see a better defensive presence. I think. So, this was a really solid trade. It makes me excited for what they're going to do in the off season. Yeah, I mean, with some of the salaries, they're going to be a little tight on what they're going to be able to do this next year. But, I feel like teams always find a way somehow.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, I mean, the first game, it just, to be honest, there was, I don't know how much you watched. I watched most of it. I was flipping back and forth between the Hawks game and the Bulls game, but it seemed like San Antonio just couldn't miss shots. And
they couldn't miss a thing.
They were not missing anything, and there was some defensive miss signals where guys were just taking it right to the lane, and communication issues, which you expect. I mean, you saw that with the Dream Team, not the Dream Team like the real one, but the Heat with LeBron and Dwayne Wade and what's his name? The other guy,
Bosh.
Chris Bosh. That team you watched, it took them half a season to figure out who they were, and then they turned it on. So, you expect a little time for this, but the Bulls came roaring back in that end of the third, beginning of the fourth quarter. They were down by only 8 when they were, they closed that gap of by 22 points. And if it wasn't for a really bad play, where, somebody got caught, jumping and he went, on a pump fake and they leaned into it, hit the 2 shot, got the foul. Suddenly it was 3 again. And then just everything collapsed for the Bulls. And, had that been either a turnover or a missed basket, I think things could have gone a little differently and at least made the game more competitive. But it was that was the switch back where the Bulls lost the momentum.
Yeah, I kind of turned it off after the first half because it got really ugly, but I did see that they closed the gap. So both games last night were ugly. So I kind of gave up on both of them after a while. So
I was texting with a buddy and I was like, I don't know which game I should continue watching because I'm annoyed at both of them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, because I was home and I was trying to watch both those games and oh my goodness, Blackhawks. They're off to a terrible start again. Sorry. But anyway, yeah, let's see how things develop over the next few games. I know they're playing the Warriors next, so we'll see how that transpires. I would just love to see them get a win really soon. Just build some confidence here because going into this trade deadline, the Bulls were really struggling. They lost some really awful games these past few weeks, and I just feel like they need a big spark. And, from the front office perspective, you gave them a spark. Now I think you can really move things forward by just getting a win.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Golden State is not that good.
No. It broke our hearts earlier in the season. Remember that game?
That's true. And isn't Steph out?
That I cannot tell you. I'm not sure.
I thought I read that. I don't watch a ton of Golden State basketball, but
I know LeBron's hurt, but I don't know about Steph.
Yeah, I thought Steph was hurt, but so it would be nice to get a win in here somewhere along the way, and to start to see this team gel a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the problems that potentially could arise just going forward is because the chemistry isn't fully there yet, that you might see some games where it just gets so sloppy that things can just spiral out of control again. You just hope that they're able to kind of clamp things down a little better. Again, it's a lot of changes have been made, so you hope that kind of avalanche effect that we've seen from this Bulls team the past few years doesn't continue. It might you might see it every now and then just while guys are getting acclimated, but you would like to hope that big blown leads, giving up massive runs to other teams can just slowly dwindle down as we go forward, because that's been a huge problem for a while now.
And Steph Curry is out for this week with a tailbone injury.
Nope, there you go.
So he will not be playing when the Bulls play them.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be nice watching the Bulls. I think once you get the rhythm, you're going to see a much better defensive product, especially down low, and
much needed.
And
I mean, so much needed.
And it's going to be nice when you start to see a rhythm with the offense and the spacing better. It would be nicer to have a better point guard situation than Satoransky. I mean, Kobe White is not your point guard, and sometimes I wonder if he's even your sixth man. But Satoransky's definitely not your. Once you make a run, is not going to be your point guard. And I don't think he was ever meant to be that. I think he was a veteran backup that you could start in a pinch, and that's what he's doing. So he's being who you expected him to be. So I can't be mad at that.
No, I can't be mad at that either. I think one big thing to take away from all of this, and I know it sounds cliche, it sounds kind of old guy tough rah-rah, but I truly believe this is a case where we can say AK is tired of seeing a soft team. I think he was ready to get some guys that can get their hands dirty in here. And I like that. I like that a lot. Because how many times have we watched the Bulls just get bullied by other people? Happens all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what? You're going to need some toughness if you really want to compete. It's a high-powered league with some of the best athletes in the world. You can't afford to keep going soft like this. So these types of moves move you in the positive direction. I love the fact that AK got some guys who are not afraid to get their hands dirty. Love it.
Yeah. And you know what? They say you need probably 3 stars to win an NBA title. You got 2 now. And who knows what you have with your draft pick, Patrick Williams. If he develops into the player that you expect him to at being the number 4 overall pick, you might have the makings of a really good team here. And you've got Vucevic is not a rental. He's got 2 more years on the contract.
Pretty club friendly too, because the annual salary goes down by the year. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't. That's nice.
It is nice. Again, another win by AK.
AK. It's how nice it is. He's like the anti Ryan Pace.
Anti Garpax, anti Ryan Pace, anti a lot of bad. And and another interesting thing too about Nikola Vucevic is a lot of these international players. Yeah, AK's probably gotten a good look at a lot of these guys in the past at some point. And he is such a good evaluator of talent. And finding international guys, well, that's big. And the fact that you have a guy who's as good as anybody at evaluating that type of talent gives you a lot of confidence going forward.
And guess what? After this season, Cristiano Felicio comes off the books.
He's still a thing. My goodness.
He is the Brian Scalabrine of this team.
I mean, is he active?
He played last night for a hot second.
Did he?
Because they were down by 30. He got Scalabrine minutes.
I mean, well, okay, to be fair to Scalabrine, he probably got more minutes than Felicio because that's when the Bulls were really good, and he came in during blowouts when they were winning.
Scalabrine.
One of my all-time favorite Scalabrine Bulls memories is it was a blowout. Obviously, the Bulls were up huge, and they had 98 points, I believe. No, 99. They had 99 points. So Scalabrini had the chance to win the fans the Big Mac with clinching 100-plus points in the game because they were going to win. Just in the final minutes, they needed to hit the 100-plus mark. So
Was that to get the Big Mac?
Yes, the Big Mac. So Scalabrini comes in. Everyone's going crazy, obviously, just because it's Brian Scalabrini, and everyone goes crazy no matter what. And then, he banks a shot in. They clinch 100 points. Everyone goes crazy. I was watching that game with my brother, and he goes, "Oh, that's the shot that got the fans the burger." And it was just such a great moment.
Oh, Scalabrini.
He was fun, man.
I wonder what he does now. The White Mamba.
I think he's a coach or an assistant somewhere.
I don't know. Let's see if Wikipedia knows.
I really wish that Derrick Rose Bulls team would have won a championship so Brian Scalabrini could be holding the trophy in the parade down Michigan Avenue. How great would that have been?
He is the co-host of the Starting Lineup, which airs 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern on Sirius XM NBA Radio.
Oh, there you go. That's cool.
And he was an assistant with the Golden State Warriors for one season.
Yeah, I thought he was an assistant somewhere.
Yeah. And in 2017, he was on the team called the Ball Hogs of the Big Three basketball league.
The Ball Hogs. That sounds like a team that would try to face the Harlem Globetrotters. Give the Washington Generals a break, man.
Yeah, but Scalabrini could do it. He is totally a Chicago fan favorite. Like, he fits the prototype of it.
Absolutely. And you know what? Now, you got me looking up his career numbers. And remember, he is an NBA champ. He was with the 2008 Celtics, so he does have a ring. He knows what it's like. He's like JaVale McGee. He knows what it's like to win a ring. When a guy like Brian Scalabrini is a champ, you got to love that. Because he was with Boston for a good number of years. I think of like 5 seasons. Yeah, 5 seasons. He started with New Jersey back in 2001, and then his final 2 years on the Bulls, 2011 and 2012. And if you remember, in 2011, 2012, when Derrick Rose had some injury issues among many players that had injury issues, he didn't get any starts, but he did play a few more minutes than normal that year in his final year. He played in 28 games that year, where 2010, 2011, when they won 62 games, he only played in 18. He averaged 1.1 points per game. But hey, those are 1.1 great points per game.
He averaged over 6 points a game for the 2004-05 New Jersey Nets.
That he did. He started in 14 games that year, and his career high was 17 with 06-07 Boston in games started. Never started a game with the Bulls, not one.
Wonk, wonk.
But that's okay, because he was the great guy to come off the bench. He was part of the bench mob.
The White Mamba.
Remember that bench mob? That was a lot of fun. You had Omer Sheik. He was fun. You had Brian Scalabrini, C.J. Watson, Taj Gibson. Well, Taj Gibson was kind of back and forth, if I remember.
I remember how mad people were when Omer Sheik signed with, what was it, the Rockets?
Yeah.
People were, what are we going to do without Omer Sheik?
A Sheik and destroy.
Oh, man. So should we change gears here?
Sure.
I want to talk a little bit Bears here. Yeah, I know. So, being a tone-deaf organization, the Bears' official Twitter account tweeted out a picture of Andy Dalton and with a caption, QB1.
That social media team knows exactly what they're doing, but they still need to stop. Just stop.
Nobody was happy.
Just stop.
It was a disaster.
You think you're being edgy and cool and funny. Nobody's laughing. You look stupid. Stop. Just take a day or two. The social media coordinator should just be like, you guys, you know what? We're going to take the next day or two off. A nice long weekend. Just don't. There's nothing to put up. The draft is far away. There's no games. There's no nothing. There's no big news right now. Just take a break. Don't tweet anything.
So that was a disaster. And then I saw an image that was tweeted out that showed the picture of every team in the NFL and their all-time receiving leader for the history of that franchise.
Uh-huh.
And so Arizona, Larry Fitzgerald, 17,492 yards. The Rams, Isaac Bruce, 14,109 yards. 49ers, Jerry Rice, 19,247 yards. Steve Largent, Seahawks, 13,000 yards. Julio Jones, over 12,000 yards. And you go through this stupid list, and who is dead last? Dead last.
The Bears.
The Bears. Johnny Morris, 5,059 yards. The only other teams that are anywhere close are the Ravens with Derek Mason, 57-77. But that organization has not been around very long.
No, because didn't they give the Browns their history back?
Yes, so they don't have their history. The Titans, Ernest Givens, who is actually the Oilers, at 79-35, which is still is like almost 3,000 more yards. Is anybody else anywhere close? Ozzie Newsome for the Browns at almost 8,000. That's it. That's how the Bears are so far down, dead last. And I was like, how sad. But then I was like, okay, let's look at all-time career passing leader for each franchise. And that didn't really get any better. The Bears are third from last.
Pathetic.
All-time franchise leader in passing yards. They're ahead of the Buccaneers, who, oddly enough, the all-time franchise leader in passing yards for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that has won the Super Bowl, is Jameis Winston.
Huh. He's probably first in interceptions, too.
And then the only other team the Bears are better than would be the Houston Texans, whose all-time passing, and this is going to get blown away, probably, I mean, depending on how the trade works, by Deshaun Watson, is Matt Schaub. And he is only 222 yards behind the Bears in Jay Cutler.
That is so effing sad. My goodness.
So they have the third worst all-time passing leader, and their the worst for all-time receptions leader, like for the Oregon. How does that happen? How are you so inept at developing and keeping offensive talent?
Hold the phone. Matt Schaub technically played last year with Atlanta.
Yeah, but it doesn't count towards what he had for Texans.
I know that. I'm just saying. I had no idea he was even still in the league.
But do you want me to list you out the top 5 all-time receivers for the Bears?
No, but okay.
Johnny Morris, number 1.
Okay.
Harlan Hill, number 2.
What is that, Hank Hill's brother? I'll tell you what.
Are you ready for this? Do you know who is the number 3 on the all-time Bears receiving list?
Is it Brandon Marshall or Allen Robinson?
Alshon Jeffrey.
Oh, my goodness.
Alshon Jeffrey is the 3rd all-time leading receiver for the Chicago Bears. And then 4 is Walter Payton. 5 is Mike Ditka. So your 4 and 5 aren't even wide receivers. Then it goes Curtis Conway, Matt Forte, Marty Booker, Willie Gault, and Ken Kavanaugh. Round out your top 10.
Wow.
Brandon Marshall came in 12. Allen Robinson is 15. And assuming Allen Robinson plays this year, he will move into the top 10 easily. Because he's only got to get 500 yards to be in the top 10.
Yikes.
How sad is that?
That's really sad.
What's crazy is that I guess he'll still have one more year. But Alshon Jeffrey actually put up some solid numbers.
He did. If you're talking about the Bears, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he did. He did.
And Johnny Morris, what's crazy is he has just over 5,000 yards receiving. And he played for the Bears 10 years. It took him 10 years to do that.
Oh.
Alshon Jeffrey is just behind him and played half as many games.
Well, that's all I can say is whelp.
And honestly, so we had a couple of big trades already with draft picks. And the 49ers gave up the farm to move up to number 3.
Yeah, that was a weird day of NFL drafting.
It was like the commissioner was like, whoa, we've got way too much basketball excitement. Somebody in the NFL do something quick. But the 49ers gave up 3 first-round draft picks and a third-round draft pick to move up to 3rd. That is a lot of draft capital to move up.
It kind of reminded me of that movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner.
Yes, where they're just like duping each other. And he's like, I got you bent over a barrel. Give me 3 first-round picks. All right, I'll do it. And then he's like, let me find Ryan Pace. All right. Woo. Got my 3 first-rounders back. They really did. They really did look for the Ryan Pace at the end of that movie where Kevin Costner was like, got Ryan Pace on the phone. Got my 3 first-rounders back. So the funny part is like, all right, every team looks for a Ryan Pace when we're trying to dupe somebody. But what does Ryan Pace do? Who does he call? Oh, I can't call myself. Whoop whoop. But
I'll have 2 cell phones, one in each hand. Hello, Ryan Pace. Yes, this is Ryan Pace. Hi, Ryan Pace. How are you?
I'll just go into a room with an echo. Hello, Ryan. Hello, Ryan. Do you want to make a trade? Do you want to make a trade? Yes. Yes. All right. I duped this guy.
Somebody walks by and sees it, like, and just is like, I'm gonna look in the yellow pages and see if there's someone that can help this guy.
He's just like, he's like looking into a mirror. And have you ever seen that skit on Saturday Night Live? Like, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. He's giving himself affirmations as he's negotiating trades with himself in the mirror.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with this trade, it's really, the Bears already had pretty low hopes of being able to draft a quarterback at that number 20 spot. You know, I had slim hopes that maybe a Mac Jones could fall to them, which I think he's going to be a pretty solid quarterback. And I was like, all right, well, maybe there's a possibility. So I started, looking through, and I was like, because sure, there are teams that would like to upgrade at quarterback. I feel like the great skill position players and offensive tackles that are going to be in this draft are going to make people hem and haw about going quarterback. They're like, I can't pass up on this tackle or this wide receiver or this tight end, for the 5th quarterback. And I was like, all right, maybe that lends itself to a benefit for the Bears. But when the 49ers traded up, I mean, you don't trade up like that unless you're going for quarterback, right?
Right.
Unless they're the dumbest people on earth. I just can't. I mean, it's possible. Maybe they traded up for that offensive tackle.
We need help on offensive tackle.
So let me trade 3 first-round picks. But so I mean,
that's what
the way
we do here.
The way I'm looking at it is the five quarterbacks that have first-round grades are Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones. So we all know that Trevor Lawrence is going number 1. It's like the least kept secret in the world. It's seeming like the Jets are going to go Zach Wilson at 2, because he made a big throw on his pro day that Sam Darnold also made in his pro day. But whatever. So the 49ers trade up, which means, we know they're going to go after quarterback. And I'm going to guess it's probably going to be Trey Lance or Justin Fields. And then I would be shocked if the Panthers don't take the other one that wasn't drafted by the 49ers. So either Trey Lance or Justin Fields. So that means without any trade movement, assuming that the top 20 remain as it is today, the Bears, Mac Jones would have to go past Denver, Philadelphia. I'm not listing all the teams. I'm just listing the teams that need an improvement at quarterback. Denver, Philadelphia, Minnesota, New England, Miami, and Washington football team. He would have to slip past all of those to go to the Bears.
That's a lot to leapfrog, to hope to leapfrog.
I mean, the only nice thing is with five quarterbacks being taken in the first 20 picks, that's going to leave a really good player on the board for the Bears that should not have been there at 20. It just sucks.
That's true.
It just sucks that the position that they need the most is quarterback.
As they do every year.
That's true. Since the inception of the organization.
Yep.
But I started piecing together like what their roster currently is with their draft picks. I mean, not their draft picks, their signees. And every year since Ryan Pace has been the general manager of this team, which has been entirely too long. It's what he does, and he's doing it now, is he identifies where there's a hole, and he fills it with like a 1-year gap player veteran. And then if he upgrades that position in the draft, he upgrades it. And if he doesn't, then he rides it out with the 1-year draft or the 1-year signee. And that's kind of what he's been doing. So looking at defense, in the interior defensive line, we've got Mario Edwards, Angelo Blackson, Laquea London, Eddie Goldman, Akeem Hicks, Bilal Nichols. Outside linebackers, we've got Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, Travis Gibson, Ladarius Mack, James Vaughters, and Jeremiah Atachu. Inside linebacker, we've got Danny Trevathan, Roquan Smith, Joel Iwabinoue, Josh Woods, and Christian Jones, who we brought back. Safeties, we've got DeAndre Houston Carson, Deion Bush, Eddie Jackson, Marquis Christian, and Jordan Lucas. And then cornerback is our new tight end position, which makes me feel like they're going to go after cornerback high in this draft because they now have Desmond Trufant, Xavier Crawford, Tease Tabor, Artie Burns, Kendall Vildor, Duke Shelley, Trey Roberson, and Jalen Johnson. So I'm like, all right, there's a lot of cornerbacks.
That's an extensive list.
And I'm like, they're going to totally add a high draft pick to that list.
Totally.
And then on offense, you're like, oof. So they're on their offensive line. You're like, okay, I have an idea of what it's going to look like. Charles Leno is going to be the left tackle. Cody Whitehair will be left guard. Sam Mustapher will be center. James Daniels will be the right guard. And then right tackle, you've got they signed Jermaine Ifedi. They've got Arlington Hambright. They've got Alex Bars, who they've talked about putting out at right tackle. They've got the guy they just signed, Elijah Wilkinson. So I'm like, that's another position. They could really use a right tackle. Because honestly, as bad as Bobby Massey was last year, I mean, I feel like he can't be too much worse than what they have there now. Like, those are a bunch of backups.
Well, I suppose.
Tight end, you're set. You've got Jimmy Graham, Cole Kmet, J.P. Holtz, Darian Clark, Jesper Horsted. I feel like you can upgrade wide receiver because you've got Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Riley Ridley, Anthony Miller, Javon Wims, Thomas Ives, and Rodney Adams.
Oh, please improve.
Yeah.
Please improve.
We could have had Kenny Galladay in that mix, which would have been amazing to have Allen Robinson, Kenny Galladay, and Darnell Mooney as your top three. That makes you actually a formidable wide receiver core. But
if you had Galladay and Robinson on the same team, hell yeah, that would have been awesome.
But now it's like, all right, now I feel like you've almost regressed from last year. So, I mean, I feel like wide receiver is a definite need. Your quarterbacks, the only quarterbacks you have on the roster are Andy Dalton and Nick Foles. Running back, I feel confident with. You got Tariq Cohen, David Montgomery, Ryan Nall, Artavis Pierce, and then you signed Damian Williams, which
could be a sneaky good move.
Yeah, I think that's a, for a change of pace back between Montgomery, Tariq Cohen, and now adding Damian Williams. I think that's a solid pickup.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, you start looking at it and you're like, desperate need for a right tackle, desperate need for an upgrade at quarterback, pretty hurting for a need at cornerback and wide receiver. And then it would be a real nice to have an upgraded safety as well. And then who returns your kicks? Be nice to bring back Cordell or Patterson too.
Yeah, that would be nice. I don't know if they're going to, but I would really love to have him back. He was just so good all over special teams.
I mean, maybe they bring him back when he sees that his value is not at that high, where he's not going to get a $5 million a year.
Yeah, I'd really love to see him back. I'm not surprised they haven't re-signed him yet, but I definitely agree. Maybe if they can get him at a good deal that's reasonable for his value, because look, he's not an elite wide receiver that's going to put up 1,000+ yards. He's a gadget guy that is really good on special teams. So there's a need for it, but is he going to make as much money as he's hoping? I'm not so sure. I would hope that nobody really else goes out and pays good money for him so that can leave the door open to a return for the Bears. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I'd really like to have him back if possible.
Yeah. So, man, the Bears just have so many needs, and unless everything just falls so right for them, I don't know how they're able to be a competitive team. I feel like they took a huge step back this year, and they're not going to be a very good team. And we got word that there's going to be a 17-game season this year, which means that we got to watch the Bears one more time look like ass.
Hey, we got a taste of it last year. We got our 16 games and then a playoff game.
Yeah, and I hate being negative Nancy about the Bears. I really do, but I just go with what they give me. I saw a meme. It was the scene where it was like a young Gamora talking to Thanos from Avengers, and they're like, "The Bulls are good again," and they're like, "What did it cost?" It's like, the Bears.
That's funny.
So yeah, it's just, man, Ryan Pace is just sinking this team down, and ownership just made such a boneheaded decision to keep him another year.
Or years. We don't know what their contract is like.
Who knows? He might just be terrible again. And my fear is, like, it's one thing if they get a top quarterback and they're like, you know what, we're building around this guy. That sucks. But they're not going to get one of the top guys. At best, they're going to get Mac Jones. And I have a feeling that they're going to go after whoever here's what I foresee happening. They're going to take a tackle in the first round, or cornerback, whoever is the better value where they pick. Because there's a lot of tackles in this draft. So I feel like they'll draft whoever has the better value, either a cornerback or a tackle. And then I think they're going to trade up in the second round, and they're going to take Kyle Trask, the quarterback out of Florida, who, I watched a bunch of film on him because he's the most realistic quarterback I think they have. And he's smart. He makes throws. He just doesn't have a cannon of an arm. But he's a solid quarterback. I mean, as far as second round quarterbacks go, I think he might, I think he might be a decent prospect, but I have a feeling that they might trade up to get him because he'll be the next quarterback available. So I feel like the Bears will probably trade up to the top of probably the top 10 picks of the second round and take him, which I still think is a little early, but what are you going to do? So you're trading up 10 picks in the second round, 10, 12 picks in the second round. I think that's at least reasonable, even though you've got a lot more needs. But that's sort of where I see the Bears, and that probably buys Ryan Pace a few more years.
Probably, knowing the way this team runs.
Yeah, so I've done a few of those mock draft simulators where, they have a, computer generated picks for for the other teams, and then you pick for the Bears. And, you can offer some trades here and there. And, some of them have, I can get Mac Jones to fall to me, but, usually I'm just like, you know what? Bears might be smart. They might be smart here to do a trade back and trade back a few spots in the first round, because you're not going to get the quarterback you want. There's going to be good players. Trade back a few spots and then have the ammunition to move up in the second round without wasting more of your draft picks. That might be the smart thing to do. And, if you can move back a few spots and then have the ammunition to get that early second rounder to draft your quarterback and still get your tackle in the first round, that's seeming to shape up like that might be your best opportunity for the Bears to get better without, because you don't have a ton of draft picks. You got like a couple of, like 3 6th rounders, but those are kind of garbage picks. You can't leverage all your picks, on a couple players. So it might behoove the Bears to trade back and then be able to trade up to get Kyle Trask, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, got a time before that happens. We could just revel now in Andy Dalton for the time being.
QB1. All right, so you want to talk hockey or baseball?
We could save baseball for last. We could talk some hockey now.
All right. It's funny. The Blackhawks were on a pretty shitty losing streak, and then you're like, man, 2 games against Florida this week. You're like, that's bogus because they're probably going to get their ass kicked, and boom, they get 4 points against the Florida Panthers, which is absolutely shocking because it's a team that dominated them earlier.
Yeah, and you credit that second win really to Kevin Lankinen, who made 41 saves in that 3-0 shutout.
Yep.
He really won that game for the Blackhawks. I mean, he was absolutely outstanding. That was his best performance to date. You look at just the saves he made, the way he controlled rebounds, whether it was soaking up the puck or having the rebounds go to the right spot, not right to the other player. That was a nice boost there. And it was also really cool to see Joel Quenneville sit out on the bench, watching Kane get honored in the first parts, before the game, I should say. They had the little ceremony for Patrick Kane for his 1,000th game, and Joel Quenneville was on the bench watching it. That was a really cool moment.
Yeah, it was. And it was nice to see, Patrick Kane get his 1,000th point. And he's
1,000th game played.
Oh, his 1,000 game played?
Yeah.
Okay.
He got 1,000 points last year before everything went to duty.
Okay. So it was, I saw a little bit of the highlights of the thing, and seeing Joel Quenneville there was nice. And that game broke the 4-game losing streak. But the thing is, the Blackhawks were up 3-0 in that one game and almost blew the game, gave up 2 late ones to Florida. And I mean, I don't know about you, but it really felt like they were going to blow that whole game.
Oh yeah. I mean, you look at the trend that they've been on since the season started. A lot of 2-goal leads blown, a lot of multiple leads, even bigger than 2-goal. We've seen 3-goal leads evaporate pretty fast for this team.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I definitely had a bad feeling about it.
Yeah, I had a big bad feeling about it, especially with that team. With the juju that they've had on the Blackhawks this year, and it just didn't. And the Blackhawks were able to hang on, which was nice. And then they bounced back then they have the 3-0 win, which, Lankinen looked great. He looked good in both games. You're like, all right, we're starting to feel a little better here. And then, with the Predators coming in, and you're like, man, they just looked terrible against the Predators.
They looked terrible in that first game, and we are almost midway through the second one, and they look just as terrible against them. It's like they cannot solve the Predators.
No. And, but we did have a surprise, is we saw Kirby Dach come back, and I had a thing I wanted to talk about. I was like, all right, well, there's talk of him being back soon, and he's a full participant in practice, and, where are they going to put him in the line? And then boom, there he is playing, which was a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, we knew he was doing on-ice activities. We knew that he was working his way back, but it was kind of like, boom, bombshell, he's back.
Yeah, so, I mean, I was shocked. I didn't hear anything of it. And I had the game on. I turned it on a little late because I was putting my daughter to bed. And I have a text, and I just looked at the text quick, and it was something like, man, that was a well-kept secret that Doc is already playing. And I was like, Doc is playing already? So I ran in and turned the game on, and, there he is. They pat him in on the third line, between Janmark and Strome. I figured that they would probably have him in one of the top two lines, but they didn't. So, I guess maybe they're letting him work his way back in.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a inch back towards normal process. Obviously, he's going to play. Obviously, he's going to try to put his all out there. But yeah, I think easing him back in is the best way to do it. And, hopefully he still feels 100% because, I've seen reports that he's still feeling a little bit of discomfort, but it's able to play through. So you just hope that, nothing happens.
And Ian Mitchell got moved down to AHL. But didn't he play last night?
He might have.
I thought he did, but
I only saw a little bit of the game, honestly.
I was flipping back and forth, between the Bulls game. But I thought I saw Mitchell in there, but I read that he got moved down to AHL, which was a little surprising because, he's sort of one of the future players on the defense of this team, but his play over the last couple weeks has slipped. So I don't know. I just don't know what AHL does for him. I mean, this is not like you're a playoff team that's going to go somewhere. Why not let him work out his issues with the major club?
Yeah, you would think, but I don't know. Maybe there's some specific reason. Hopefully we see him back up soon. Because like you said, he's a very important piece of this future. He's one of the big prospects going forward for this Blackhawks team. I was a little surprised to hear that myself, that he was going down. But, hopefully it won't be too long, and hopefully he can, figure something out and be back soon.
Right. So I guess my last question for you is, what are you more concerned about, the offense or the defense with this team?
Well, I think the offense overall is pretty good. I mean, obviously, there's still some growing to do with some of the pieces, but you look at some of the scores you have, Alex DeBrincat and Patrick Kane, they're doing their thing well. You've seen some of the rookies like Pius Suter score a couple of big goals. It's not like this offense is awfully struggling or terrible. The defense has had its moments that are not so great. You give up a lot of shots. You have a lot of multi-goal blown leads. So I'm going to go with defense a bit more concerning. I know you're still trying to grow. I know it's a work in progress, but I've seen a few too many of those 2-goal, 3-goal leads just evaporate quickly for my liking.
It fluctuates for me. I mean, as a whole, I would probably say the defense is rough at times, but you expect that. but the offense has really gone into a rut at some times, and I honestly worry about that more.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely inconsistencies here. They've been really struggling against the Predators to get anything going. And I feel like with some of the games where they just get absolutely murdered, they're kind of digging themselves into such a hole that, they're kind of deflated a little bit. But no, I think that's fair. I can understand that concern. I do. But I want to see a nice balance, because there are games where the Blackhawks win because the goaltending stands on its head. There are games where they've won shootouts, particularly against like Columbus, where you're giving up a lot, but you're scoring a lot. It would just be nice to see them work towards a bit more balance. Don't give up as many shots, score more consistently. And the funny thing about the offense too is you look at their power play. It's had stretches where it looks phenomenal. And then it has stretches where it looks absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, against the Predators, these past few games, the power plays looked just gut-wrenchingly terrible.
Awful.
And when you were in Florida, awful. Just awful. But we saw early in the season that they can move the puck and score at times. Is it maybe because it's against weaker competition at times, like the Red Wings? Maybe. But, you've seen flashes of the power play being good outside the flashes of it being terrible. It's kind of like one or the other here.
The 5-on-5 has, I mean, as bad as the power play has been, the 5-on-5 has been no bueno either.
No, and sometimes I feel like they're kind of getting back to some of those problems they've had in years past where they get a little too cutesy, where they try to make the extra pass when they should just put it on net. And then that extra pass will end up missing, or it'll get knocked away, or it'll just not work out. You might make that extra pass, you might connect with it, but then what looked like a much better chance if you would have shot it just completely missed on that second pass. So I think sometimes we're seeing that a little, because I felt like in early in the season, not early, but when they were winning and playing better, you saw some really well-timed shots and taking the most of their opportunities. I feel like at times now they're kind of back to their old habits of maybe trying to do too much or making one too many passes.
And turning over bad pucks.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying.
That has been a killer this season.
Yeah. I mean, even in last night's game, I think it was the Predators' second goal, handed it right to the guy.
Mm-hmm. You were just like, I saw it happen. I was like, oh my God. So, yeah, that's the Blackhawks there. But I want to wrap this up with we are just a few days away from opening day of Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And huge news is Eloy Jimenez is going to be out 5 to 6 months with an injury.
Sean, I know you and I are Cub fans, but I think you and I can both say, why did this have to happen? It's a shame when a fun, exciting player gets hurt and has to miss a lot of time like that. It's really frustrating that it had to happen on a play that was completely unnecessary.
The injuries happened. I would never in a million years have thought that was an injury. Even when I saw the play, if it didn't look like an injury. But the crime is, we were screaming about it. We had Gary on recently who was screaming about it, is sure, you have a really good lineup, but you have no depth. And there are spots where you could have bulletproofed your lineup and sealed any holes and prepared yourself for injuries, and you cheaped out and you said no. So you already had you already had an iffy situation in right field that you could have just thrown some money at a problem and had the most stacked outfield in baseball. But instead, you're like, no. We're gonna ride it out with a platoon in the right field. Now, you've got your platoon in the right field. You're, knock on wood, you're set at center field, and now left field is a hole. Who plays left field? Lurie Garcia, Billy Hamilton.
Are they getting Andrew Vaughn reps in the outfield now in left field?
When I saw an interview with him, and they asked him about playing in the outfield, and he said, "Separation of church and state. Let the hitters hit and the fielders field," which I thought was a pretty funny quote. So I don't know if they did or not. I've heard that rumor that they were thinking about it, but you're gonna have Lurie Garcia and Billy Hamilton. You don't have a lot of depth on this team.
No, because Adam Engel is hurt, from what I know.
So, yeah, I mean, it's that's exactly what happened. How good would Michael Brantley look right now?
Yeah, I was saying all offseason that if there was another move for the Sox to make, Michael Brantley would have been perfect.
But nope, you didn't. And now, looking at, most everybody has signed. Really, your only option, if you're going to go for a veteran, is Yasiel Puig. And Gary, if you're listening, I know you're going to shit a brick right now hearing that. And I'm not saying that's the right answer. I'm saying is there's not much else you can do. You're either going to throw.
Well, there's Yoenis Cespedes.
He's like 36.
Yeah, I know.
And he was bad last time he played. That is a disaster ready to happen. I'm not saying Yasiel Puig is going to be good, but he's still like, 29 years old, 30 years old?
Yeah, but there's that whole sexual assault charge on him. I don't know.
I keep forgetting about that because he's not playing for anybody. I just don't know what you do. You went from a team that had high hopes to a team that has a lot of questions now.
Sean, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I still think they're going to win the American League.
In the Central or the whole American League?
The whole American League.
That's a bold statement.
That bullpen is filth. If you have the lead after 6 innings, you can just polish it off right there. And their top 3 starters are as good as anybody. You got Dallas Keuchel, you got Lucas Giolito, you have Lance Lynn. You still have Tim Anderson. You still have Jose Abreu. You still have Yasmani Grandal. You still have Luis Robert. You still have a lot of talent. And Sean, here's the thing. I did on Cubby's Crib my yearly standings predictions. Outside the Yankees and the Rays and maybe the Twins, the other teams in the American League around the Sox, they're not that great. The Astros have lost a lot. The Angels are going to be the Angels, where they're going to be somewhat competitive with Mike Trout. And, maybe Shohei Ohtani continues to entertain, but they don't have the pitching staff to go anywhere. The Indians really downgraded. They traded away Francisco Lindor. The Twins don't have much of a pitching staff. A lot of these teams aren't trying. I still think the White Sox have the most talented team, outside maybe the Yankees. The Yankees, if the Yankees are healthy, they're going to be really tough to beat. If the Yankees end up staying healthy, then they would be my pick for the American League, but they never can. It is just a matter of time before Aaron Judge goes out for a few months. And then Giancarlo Stanton goes down for a few months. Garrett Cole is going to not be able to doctor up his balls with all his, Vagisil and snot and pine tar. So who knows what's going to happen there. I just think it's still wide open for the White Sox to win the American League. If they have more injuries on the pitching staff, then I'd start to worry. Knock on wood. I just still think the White Sox are that much talented. Losing Eloy sucks. Don't get me wrong. That is a big loss. But this team is so talented. But they can't afford any more big injuries. I'll say that much.
Here's realistic things that could happen. Is what if Moncada doesn't go back to his 2019 form and stays his 2020 form?
That's a problem.
What if Tim Anderson takes a step backwards? I think that's probably the least likely.
I don't think it's going to happen.
All right. What if your first baseman age starts to catch up to him and he regresses? That's a possibility.
I can't fully rule that out.
What if Giolito it turns out that his last 2 years were a little bit fluky and league figures him out?
No, I don't think that's going to happen. He's legit good.
So I don't know. There's just question marks. What if Andrew Vaughn struggles mightily?
Which could happen. I still think they're asking an awful lot for him. What I could see happening with Andrew Vaughn is getting off to a really hot start, then opposing pitching kind of adjusts to him, and then he kind of goes into that rookie slump. But again, I'm going to go back to the top 3 starters in that bullpen. I mean, absolute lights out bullpen. It is shown that you can go on long postseason runs with a good bullpen. Look at the Brewers a few years ago. The only problem is you don't want to wear them out. But I don't think you're going to wear them out when you have a good starting rotation. Sure, the bottom might be a little questionable, but look at all those fireballers the White Sox have. Who's going to be hitting that?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to have to hold you together. I think the Andrew Vaughn one is a legit concern because
I think it's,
is now any depth that you had as, guys that could step in and take some reps from him at the DH spot are going to be filling in the outfield for you.
Here's another thing, though, to consider. The White Sox have enough talent to keep them in it. And they're in first place nearing the trade deadline, no matter how they're doing it, then they could acquire more bats for packing peanuts. I still think that they're going to be okay.
I mean, I'm not saying they're gonna be terrible. I'm just saying is that the way that they cheaped out and the huge injury to Eloy is a real problem.
It hurts. Don't get me wrong. It hurts.
Yeah, they did not build in cushion for something catastrophic.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And they really should have.
And that
they did not build up that depth. You are absolutely 100% right about that. And the consensus seems to be that Yoelqui Cespedes, the international guy that they signed, isn't ready for the majors yet. So I don't think he's an option.
I mean, you could have probably spent, I don't know, $12 million and fixed a lot of your issues. You could have brought in another veteran bat that could compete with, have a real competition with Vaughn at DH. You could have got yourself a better caliber backup catcher. And you could have had more outfield depth. And
sure. Oh, there's no doubt about it.
So as it stands is your outfielders, Engel is hurt. You've got Eloy is hurt. You've got Rutherford, Robert,
Adam Eaton,
and Adolfo. Old Micker.
You want more depth there. The only bright spot I could say is the outfield to be better defensively. But you want those 40-plus home runs in there.
Yeah, so I mean, it just that outfield depth just, I mean, the Cubs have far superior outfield depth, and that's actually a little surprising. But that's where the White Sox cheaped out, and they could have, adding a few $1 million to the payroll could have really cemented themselves as being able to absorb this Eloy injury. And I've read projections where they see Eloy as a 4 to 5 WAR player this year, that's a big loss because I don't see I don't see anybody on that roster that is a plus WAR player to fill in for him.
To fill in for him, no. I mean,
so you're really looking at, you eked by, you got to find those 4 to 5 wins somewhere. That's, you hope that the upgraded pitching staff and the bullpen give that to you, but that it just really hurts, and you don't have anything to put. Imagine if you had signed a Michael Brantley, and then Eaton fills in for Eloy. You're like, I feel a lot better about that than I did, with Mick or Adolfo.
Yeah, no question. I just want to go back really quickly to the Eloy injury itself, because a lot of people are talking about it. I said earlier how it really didn't have to happen in a spring training game. I do think that it's unnecessary to call him like a selfish showboaty player like I've seen. I don't think that's it at all. I mean, here's the thing. Instincts are to try to make a play wherever you are. And he wanted to play hard and legitimately improve himself as a player. I could understand that. But the White Sox have to step in and say, you can't do this. But like, this is your limit.
My thing though is it's a bit fluky. How many times have you seen somebody go up over the wall to try to get and been injured? Like, it's
fluky, yes, but the problem is he has a history of hurting himself in the outfield.
I guess that's true. If that's the case, is moving to DH.
Well, people have been saying that for a while.
He's a terrible outfielder. I mean, he is worse. Remember when we were shitting all over Bam Bam for how bad he was as an outfielder before he worked on it and improved?
Yeah.
Eloy is worse than that. He was worse than Schwarber was when Schwarber was getting shit all over for being bad.
Much worse. I mean, Schwarber, the thing with Schwarber is the past few years is he was a pretty solid outfielder. He would just have that every now and then have that really bad play. And that really bad play would be shown all over highlight reels, and it would make people say, oh, typical Schwarber, yada, yada. But if you actually watched him play the outfield on a regular basis, Gold Glover, no, not by any means, but he was serviceable out there at best. And he had a pretty good arm, too. He nailed a few guys at the plate. So, yeah, I mean, early on, the outfielding from him was not good at all. But, yeah, I mean, Eloy, hitting-wise, has all the talent in the world, has MVP caliber talent. In the field, not so much.
Yeah, so it's just sucky, and I feel terrible. And if the White Sox don't make a long run, or fall short, you gotta blame Grandpa Jerry because he cheaped out.
Yeah.
But the good news for the White Sox is the Orioles designated Yomer Sanchez, so he is available for the White Sox to go pick him up again.
Oh, is he?
Yomer Sanchez. That would be a real White Sox move, is to pick him up for like the third time.
Hey, you could dump Gatorade over his head. Yolmer. I was thinking about earlier too, just the talent of Eloy is something that was really hard as a Cubs fan to give up, just because the insane power that guy has. He looks like he barely swings at something and it goes like 500 feet. But the DH in 2017 still seemed like a long ways away. So if he wasn't traded to the White Sox for Quintana, I feel like he would have been traded to an American League team regardless at some point for something big. That's just my opinion because, again, the history of the fielding has always been there and not in a good way. And I just wonder if the Cubs were planning on trading him for a while or not for that reason. I don't know. It's just something I think about.
Yeah.
Still would love that. I'd still take that bat, though, honestly. Just saying.
But Cubs, the Cubs were seeing some nice things. I guess sort of surprising, but sort of not. Move. They optioned Nico Horner.
Yeah, I think some people were surprised just because he's been killing it this spring. But, to be honest with you, going into this spring, I was always of the opinion that Nico Horner should probably get some playing time in the minors a little bit this year. My opinion kind of changed when he started tearing it up in spring training. But the thing is, he's probably not going to be down very long. And you have options at second base. Bodie is a perfectly fine option. Eric Sogard is an experienced veteran. And you have Matt Duffy on the team. Matt Duffy could kind of be an under-the-radar, sneaky good move for the Cubs. And he's a utility guy, so he could play a bunch of places, as can Eric Sogard. So while it's kind of disappointing to not see him make the big leagues, it's maybe not that big of a deal because he's going to be here eventually, and it's not like you're totally out of options at second base.
I mean, really? It was just to get. He's gonna be down there for about 35 days, and then he'll be back up when he doesn't. They don't lose a year on his on that. But I mean, at least Sogard has looked okay in spring. So you feel at least some confidence there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then what else do you got with the Cubs? You've got some surprise outfielders playing well, and Marisnik and Jock Peterson are just killing it in spring training.
Peterson, it seems like he's hitting a home run every day.
He hit his 8th one today. 8th home run in spring, and his slash line is 372 average, 429 OBP, 1,000 slugging, 1429 OPS.
That's pretty good. And the nice thing about Jock Peterson, too, is we're seeing him spray those home runs all over the park. We see him go the opposite way. We've seen him go towards center, and we've seen him pull the ball out to right field. The one he hit the other day, that was during the Anthony Rizzo interview.
Where Rizzo called it?
Yeah, just an absolute rocket. It was a high fastball up and in. And, we've seen the struggles with the high heat. And he was able to get around that and just tattoo that ball.
Absolutely, yeah. He's looked really good. And I mentioned Eric Sogard playing well. His slash line in spring training so far is 360, 448, 520 with a 968 OPS. I mean, these are spring numbers, so it doesn't really matter, but it's not like he's Chris Bryant's 150 batting average or whatever, and you're like, shit, is he going to have another shitty season? At least Sogard's swinging the bat well. You're like, all right, he can handle things for Nico for a month.
Yeah, if you look at Eric Sogard's career, he's always been kind of one of those on-off guys. He'll have a good year, he'll have a bad year, he'll have a good year, he'll have a bad year. So if the pattern holds true, he could be set up for a nice season.
And then Marisnik, slash line 409, 435, 1,000 slugging, 1435 OPS in spring.
And he's been hitting home runs too, yeah.
Was he at 4 or 5?
Yeah, it's somewhere 4 or 5. Last time I checked, it was 4, so that was a few days ago. He could be a really nice fourth outfielder for you. He's not going to play a whole lot, but he's not exactly Ted Williams at the plate, but he does have a nice little pop in his swing. So he could drive the ball out of the ballpark every now and then, and that's another nice asset to have.
Yeah, the thing is, I think he's going to get more playing time than you expect because, you're going to sub him a lot depending on who's pitching for either Jock Peterson or Hayward.
Right.
So I mean, he's going to get playing time. He's going to get at bats. I just really like the defense that the Cubs are able to throw out there in that outfield from the jump. It's not there's no late game substitution for defense. It's a damn good defense out there.
Jock Peterson is a good fielder. Ian Happ has been a nice center fielder. And of course, Jason Hayward is one of the best outfielders in the whole game. So, yeah, this is as good as I felt about this outfield in a while. Because over the past 2 years, you're like, well, is Almora going to be any good? Is Ian Happ going to be any good? And Ian Happ is another one you got to talk about, too, because he's been hitting pretty well this preseason as well. He's been doing pretty much all of it. So you have him in center field, a guy who could hit the ball and hit the ball well, get on base, really good eye at the plate. You have Jock Peterson, who can murder the ball. And then you got Jason Hayward, who plays Gold Glove caliber defense. And while we'll probably never see that St. Louis / early Atlanta Braves offense from him, the past few years, Jason Hayward has been decently productive at the plate compared to where he was early in his Cubs career. So I'm really feeling good about the outfield, and hopefully that can all stay healthy throughout the season.
And honestly, the rotation for me has been a pleasant surprise. I mean,
I watched Jake Arrieta pitch today. The movement on the breaking stuff looks legit good. I will say that.
So, Hendricks is going to be Hendricks. You feel a little better about Arrieta, like he's finding that evolution. And that's the thing is older pitchers, when they lose their fast stuff, is if they can figure out how to pitch after that, those guys find they settle in with another career. If Nolan Ryan could have figured that out, he would have pitched till he was 102 because he still had that fastball at 50.
Yeah. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
But, so it's looking like the rotation is going to be Hendricks 1, Arrieta 2, Zach Davies 3. I mean, who's 4?
Trevor Williams, the former Pirate.
Yeah, and
he had a pretty decent spring.
Yeah, so then you leave your 5th spot with the. They said didn't they say they're moving Alzolay down to the minors? So it's probably gonna be Shelby Miller.
Alec Mills would be a 5th starter if that's the case.
So, I mean, Shelby Miller's got to be at least considered there, right?
Well, Alzolay does. It looks like he's making the rotation.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. No, it looks like he's going to be part of it.
Oh, okay. Then I just saw the news report. I didn't follow because I thought I saw that they were going to put him down to the minors. So this
his stuff has looked very good this spring too. I saw him pitch against the Angels on TV the other night. Stuff looked really good. So the guys who've made the roster pitching wise, you got Hendricks, Arrieta, Davies, Williams, Alzolay, Kimbrel, Workman, Winkler, Tepera, Chafin, Mills, Adam, Brothers, and Maples. Yeah. So Shelby Miller hasn't made the team. I kind of thought he would to be a long bullpen relief /
Well, I guess that's what Alec Mills is going to be then.
Yeah, exactly.
So this article I'm reading, Shelby Miller, they said, is going to be reassigned to minor league camp.
Which is okay because I think if you need to call him up, he's obviously right there. So I think that's a good option to have in case, you do need him. But right. So, I mean, right now it's looking like your rotation is going to be Hendricks, Arrieta, Davies, Trevor Williams, and Alzolay. And then your next 6th man, so to speak, is going to be Alec Mills. I still don't like that bullpen.
No. It's like the opposite of the White Sox bullpen.
White Sox bullpen might be the best. The Cubs might be towards the bottom. I mean, just looking at the guys in there, I just don't think Kimbrel has it anymore, man. I'm not counting on it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, my hope is that he's got enough where they can flip him at the deadline for something.
I'm not counting on
I'm not
it.
counting on it either. I'm just, if you ask me, what am I asking Santa for Christmas? That's it. I want them to be able to flip him and get something.
Santa's not bringing you shit this year.
Clearly not.
What's his face is hurt, so he's not on the roster. Rowan Wick, he's probably your best guy right now, so he's not there. Brandon Workman, meh. Dan Winkler, meh. Ryan Tepera, MVP. Andrew Chafin, he's okay. Alec Mills, long reliever, spot starter, okay. Jason Adam, Rex Brothers. We're really doing the Dylan Maples thing again.
Yeah, I guess.
I know his slider looks great, but it's always 10 feet away from the strike zone.
Yes.
If he could surprise us, great. I'm rooting for the guy, but I'm not counting on it.
So I can't bring out my Pedro Strop jersey anymore?
No, it doesn't look like it.
Oh, Stropey.
Strope.
But he got assigned to minor league camp.
Yes, he did. So, I mean, if I look at the whole Cubs roster, here's how I rank it. Offense looks pretty good. I still think they have too many holes in their swings, and they're going to be inconsistent. But if everybody bounces back, or at least most of them bounce back, they can be a good offense. I think they'll have plenty of power. They can walk. I just think there's going to be a lot of holes in the swing, as they have in the past few years. Jock Peterson, I do think, makes this offense better. And obviously, potential bounce-back seasons from Baez and Bryant will make this a lot better. Very, very encouraged by what Wilson Contreras has done this spring, as Ian Happ, as Anthony Rizzo. Bodie's had a really good spring. So I'm feeling good about that. I feel solid about the rotation. I'm not expecting great. I'm expecting decent at best.
Who are our lefty bullpen options?
Andrew Chafin.
Then
Craig Kimbrell's going to throw with the opposite hand. Is Jason Adam a lefty? I don't even
Rex
know.
Brothers? Is Rex Brothers? Is he our other lefty?
I know very little about Rex Brothers. Let's see. I have to double check.
I mean, it's not going to be Brad Wick.
No, it's too bad because, yes, Rex Brothers is a lefty.
So Rex Brothers is your other left-handed pitching option.
Yeah. No Kyle Ryan. No Brad Wick. No Sean Marshall. He's in my. He's calling games for Marquee now.
So yeah, I don't know. That bullpen is looking brutal.
Yeah, and some guys on Marquee were trying to say, "Oh, this bullpen could be good." I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Brandon Workman is a guy who I think can be decent. I think if there's any point of hopes in that bullpen, Brandon Workman could be decent. Andrew Chafin could be decent. I'm not counting much from Rex Brothers, but hey, I'll give him a shot. He hasn't played much in MLB time. Well, he's played a little bit. 317 games. Wow. I didn't know he played that many games. Okay, disregard that. It just wasn't with the Cubs. He was a first-round draft pick of the Rockies way back, but he had some good seasons, but that was years ago. So he hasn't, let me amend that, he hasn't had a lot of playing time in the MLB in a while. As in, since 2016. So he's a ways removed from being an effective pitcher in baseball. But let's see what he can give. Let's see what he can give.
I'm looking at what relief pitchers are still available on the market. The pickings are slim. Roberto Osuna,
No.
Shane Green
He was good. Remember when he was good?
when he wasn't in his mid-30s.
Yeah.
Brad Peacock.
Hey, whoever had Brad Boxberger just released him, I think.
Jose Alvarez. Juan Nicasio.
What's Antonio Alfonseca up to these days?
I don't know.
He's probably like, what, 45, 50 years old?
He's not a spring chicken, I can tell you that much.
But we might need him.
Dave Robertson.
Wow, he's still a free agent, huh?
Yeah, 10 years ago, that might have been an interesting pickup, but not today.
You know what? This is my take right here. I'm just gonna say, I would not hate them taking a flyer on a guy like David Robertson.
He's 36.
Who else are you gonna bring in?
Dylan Maples.
Stop.
Stop making Dylan Maples a thing. It's never going to be a thing.
Because look, I'm just gonna look at David Robertson. I'm gonna look at his career and look at just where he's pitched recently. Okay, 2019 Philly, that didn't go so well. He only pitched in 6 2/3, so I think he got hurt that year. Yeah, he did get hurt. Yes, I do remember that now. 2018 with the Yankees, a 3.23 ERA. Before that, between the Sox and the Yankees, a 1.84 ERA. I'm trying here, man. I'm trying.
Yeah, I think the last thing we need is a 36-year-old righty pitcher in this bullpen. What we need is a hard-throwing 27-year-old lefty.
Why didn't they go after Trevor Rosenthal? You need someone that could fireball in that bullpen, and he looked pretty good last year with San Diego. This Cubs team is allergic to velocity. You know what they do? You know what Jed Hoyer does? He goes to the mound at Wrigley Field, and he turns into Doc Brown from Back to the Future and yells, 88 miles an hour! Because that represents how fast this frickin' pitching staff throws.
When Jed Hoyer sees pitchers with velocity, you know what face he makes?
What face?
I'm going to have to describe it forever because you're listening. You can't see me. Have you ever been washing the dishes and touched something slimy?
Yes.
That's the face he makes when he sees a pitcher with velocity. He's like, "Ooh." I'm making the face like, "Ooh, ooh."
That's so true.
Well, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I've said my piece. I am excited to say, I will tell you this, Sean, really fast. I'm actually going to the Cubs game on Sunday, a week from now.
Nice.
Yeah, I got one of the last tickets available in the sale before they increased the capacity by another 2,000. But hey, I got tickets. I'm going. Looks like it's going to be dry so far. Let's hope that holds up. But I'm just excited to get back.
Yeah, it'll be nice. I haven't been in Wrigley Field in a long time.
Yeah, and you know what I could totally see happening is the Cubs will dominate the first 2 games, and then I'll go and they'll kind of take one of their Sunday dumps that they like to do.
Don't nobody come in here for about 45 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, maybe I'll see John Lackey and Buttercup clanking around. Sir, do you have a ticket? I don't need a ticket here.
Oh, my goodness. But I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether that's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, TuneIn, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. That's how we grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com. And what's your new blog? Is Alex Sports Chat with Alex Pat?
Alex Pat Sports Chat.
Yes. And that's on Facebook?
Yep, you can look that on Facebook or WordPress. It's Alex Pat Sports Chat at WordPress.com. You can also check me out on Cubby's Crib still as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And that's going to do it. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her, you can have her, she's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on planes. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears! Oh, when the Bears go bearing down, I wanna...